Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. If you are watching on YouTube, please do not forget, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and smash the notification bell so that you are notified every time that we go live. If you'd like to catch video replays of the show, just go to our YouTube channel or the YouTube channel of the CMS Network. And if you'd like to catch audio replays of the show, just Google Talking into Infinity podcast. And we are live right here every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's bring my good friend Brian onto the show. What's up, man? I see you have your awesome alien background ready for tonight's deep dive.
I do. Anytime a band is inspired by Alf. Now, were you around when Alf was, or was that a little before your time?
No, I was I was a kid when Alf was on, so I remember how he liked to eat cats and stuff like that. So
Did you watch it then? Like
I did. Yeah, I did.
Can you believe? So is it like basically a year since this album came out then? Is that where we're at? So the single was like in September, right? And the album came October-ish, I guess, if I remember right.
I think it was I want to say it was November.
November even? Okay, so we're almost a year then.
Yeah, what was the exact release date?
It's weird. It seems like it's been out longer than that. I don't know why.
Isn't that weird? Yeah. Oh no, it was October 22nd of 21.
Okay, so I was close. So yeah, we're almost literally a year, just about a year since then. And yeah, you know what? I had sort of taken a break from Dream Theater in general for a while, and then putting this on for the last couple days, man, rejuvenated me, I want to say.
I had the exact same response to it. I've been listening to some can't speak. Been listening to some stuff for a cover show that I got to do this weekend. So I've been kind of digging back into some like 80s hard rock archives, and
all right. So spill the beans. Exactly. What are we talking here?
Oh, it's like Scorpions, ZZ Top, Motley Crue, things like that. So
you're gonna sing Scorpions? Sweet.
Yeah, I mean it's Rock You Like a Hurricane, of course, but there's a couple others that
still that's like, higher than shit, man. Are you guys tuned down at all, or
E flat? So a half step. We're gonna try No One Like You. It's one of those shows where like everybody knows, all of us know something, and the other guys have done it for so long that they just follow along and kind of make it up. And other musicians might know that it's not correct, but the audience really won't know because it's tight, and it's, they follow each other with chords and everything. So it's just a good chance to get out there and not have to do all the pop dance stuff that I do with Brother Believe Me. So
what's the most obscure thing you're going to pull out, or is it all stuff that we all pretty much?
Well, I don't know how obscure, but we're doing Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers by ZZ Top. We're doing Heavy Metal by Sammy Hagar. The only Sammy song I've ever been able to sing live was One Way to Rock.
Nice.
We're doing We Die Young by Alice in Chains, which is an Alice tune that nobody does.
That's killer.
Yeah. So just cool stuff like that. Just like, we got $1,200 out of a little podunk bar, so you can't beat that. So lots of beer money involved in that. So, but yeah, so I had the same experience. Like I hadn't listened to Dream Theater in a bit. I took a little bit of a break, and then I came back and listened to this, and it was cool to listen to it with fresh ears, because it's and some of the a lot of the response that I had to it initially, I still basically have. But I still stand by, our statement from before that this album is definitely one that grows on you, because I continue to like it more and more as I listen. But also it still sounds to me like one giant piece of music that they chopped into 7 pieces. So there's not as much differentiation between the songs on this record as there is on other albums. I mean, do you get that vibe off of it, or what do you think?
I agree, yet I disagree. I can see that. I think there's definitely at least one song here that you know I don't want to say it doesn't fit, but it's totally, we know which one it is. But
Yeah.
um yeah, every time I listen to this album, I sort of just feel different. Like I think there's sort of almost an overwhelming there's like a sadness to this album. Does that make any sense at all? And I don't want to say it's dark, but I don't know, like the way the guitars, I think I counted almost every song but one where the guitar just takes on its own melody, the singular. It just literally sounds like it's like crying, like it's wailing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. There's like a desperation to it. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. It's funny you mentioned that, because like I don't know that I get a vibe of desperation or sadness per se, but I you know what it kind of reminded me of? It almost kind of reminded me of like Queensryche's Promised Land album, where they said it was kind of like, like Empire was, they had achieved everything. It was this holy crap, we're successful, and then Promised Land was almost like a midlife crisis, and it had this kind of, it was more adult vibe, I suppose, thematically, I guess. And this one is kind of like that for me. So I don't know that I hear like necessarily like desperation or it being somber, but I mean it's something close to that. I can see where you're going with that, because I definitely heard kind of like a theme throughout it as well myself. That wasn't definite. It definitely wasn't something that's like, yay, everything's all happy and good. Like,
Maybe there's kind of a sense, there's sort of an undertone, a sense of urgency, even though it's not rushed.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. It just really struck me listening to it again, and I think this is one of those where, like I said, literally every time I put this on, especially with specific songs, I kind of just pick up things and hear things, and I'm like, wow, this is
Yeah.
like I knew it was here, but I didn't process it. I guess that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah. Chastity Crawley, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in again. She says, kind of a woeful or serious sound. Yeah, see, I hear more of a serious thing. I think maybe Brian's hearing something that could be construed as like woeful, I would think. I definitely get the serious sound. I get it. It's, there's a lot of lyrical content on here about striving for that goal or getting to that goal. It's like kind of like, perseverance is a kind of a running theme throughout this one, I think. So
Well, you've literally got 3 songs that, like, and we'll go song by song, I know, but you got 3 songs that kind of sort of imply the same thing, right? Invisible Monster, Sleeping Giant, and Awaken the Master, right? It all sort of implies the same sort of a theme. Now, I know every song isn't necessarily about the same thing, but they all, I mean, if those aren't about as similar as you can get for, at least lyrically for a song title, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because I actually have something like that in my notes, which we'll get to, as you said, when we go song by song. By the way, real quick, if I cough here and there, I apologize. I'm at the beginnings of a cold, so I took Robitussin and everything, but I'm going to try and mute myself before I cough. But if I accidentally cough a little bit on this one, I apologize. I'm a little scratchy.
So when we saw this live, what did we got? Alien, right?
Yes.
We got the title track.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we got Awaken the Master.
Invisible Monster.
Was that it? We did not get Transcending Time. Did we get Answering the Call? I think we might have.
I thought we got 5 of the I thought it was 5 of them, wasn't it? You know, I used to have the set list written down over here. I wonder if I still have that.
We probably did. I think, yeah, we didn't get. I think the only 2 we probably didn't get were Sleeping Giant and Transcending Time. I would assume.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Like I said, I used to have it written down over here, and I think I actually cleaned for a change. So, but yeah, we got a lot of this record for sure, and there was only like 10 songs they played or something.
Yeah, which was weird. Now, when we look back and think about it, like that was very cool, but it was very strange also.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what the excuse me, what the if Petrucci kind of does something similar at his solo show that we're going to go see in a couple weeks. You believe that's already less than 2 weeks away, by the way?
Dude, we got like 2 concerts in less than a month here. We're going to Jeff Tate on my birthday, so pretty excited for that. Should be sweet.
Yep. Depending on what he's playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Did Aiken ever find out for us? We asked him to do one damn thing and nothing yet.
How dare he?
Yeah.
Our good buddy Kale's checking. He says, good morning. Good morning to you too, man. Robert Reams, good to see you, man. He says he'll be there in Cleveland to see John Petrucci with us. So there we go.
Well, nice.
I'm still pissed. I'm still pissed I didn't get the front row tickets. What an idiot.
You got to sit there back there 3 rows farther.
Yeah.
You're like in the 4th row.
I think 3rd or 4th, I forget which.
You're literally like 6 feet farther back. You realize that, right?
But I literally had the front row center tickets and I screwed it up. So it's
probably
annoying.
a better seat though, because they're not so damn close up to the stage. Well, they have to put these far back anyway. Otherwise, you're going to be like,
yeah.
Well,
like and
theater,
it's not like our VIP seating for the Distance Over Time tour where we were actually like in like the speakers were behind us.
Oh yeah.
Right. I've never had that happen before. I was like, wow, I would have thought front row would have been the best seat, but apparently it wasn't. So that was kind of funny. So
we'll have to hook up with Robert Reams before if he wants to grab a beer, some food or something. We'll figure.
Yeah, for sure.
Out.
That works for me, man. Planet of Shapes is checking in. Good to see you, man. Says, I'm curious what you guys will think of Petrucci's show. I saw Dream Theater in St. Louis a few months ago. Unbelievable. I've actually seen Petrucci. Excuse me. I saw his most recent G3 with Satriani and Phil Collin, and I loved it. I thought he was fantastic. So the thing that's going to get me is seeing him in Portnoy. I really wonder if they're going to throw in any little tidbits of Dream Theater music. I personally don't think they will, because I don't think they want to deal with the fallout of that, of people going, oh, you got to get Portnoy back in the band. So I think they're just going to completely avoid that. But
did you are you avoiding, like, I've seen a couple of videos. I've only watched like a minute or two. Are you avoiding all those, or?
As usual, yes, I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know his solo stuff nearly as well as the Dream Theater stuff, obviously.
Okay.
So, but I still would like, if there's any surprises, I don't want to have it spoiled.
Yeah.
So
no, I didn't see that. I just saw like half a song from the new album. And I mean, it just sounded like him and Petrucci sounding dead on. Pretty much what we thought it would sound like. So I don't think
right.
it could be any shocker that it's going to sound great. But yeah, they'll probably. They'll probably bust out something like Frankenstein or something. I don't know, some crazy standard instrumental, probably metal thing or something, or some goofy maybe Genesis thing or something. Knowing those guys, or sure. I bet they put some kind of medley together or something.
Maybe some LTE.
Yeah, there we go.
Even though LaRue is not the bass player on that stuff, so. Kale says, I'm looking forward to seeing how much your opinions may have changed since the episode we did with Wayne. Yeah, it's I mean, why don't we get into it, Brian?
I don't remember what I said then to you.
Yeah, I do, because a lot of what I felt about the record, I still kind of feel. So, stuff that I said before, I've got a few notes before we get into it. Like, to me, it definitely sounds like, they kept James out of his really high register on this one, and they opted for a much more layered kind of approach to the vocals, especially choruses. Like, there's a lot of 3-part harmonies, which they're very lush. It's not something we've had from them before. As I mentioned a minute ago, it still sounds like one big chunk of music chopped into 7 pieces to me. The one thing I will say is that I think they added to their sonic palette. And by that I mean there's some melodic choices that they made on this record that they haven't done on other albums, which is really cool. And I still think this is definitely a Mike Mangini record. He is all over this thing, and I think in some parts he could have reined it in a little bit. What are your like initial impressions of this one?
Well, I mean, I'll just go ahead and go right into Alien, and we'll just start it. But yeah, I mean, right off the bat, Mangini is just he's just it's a roller coaster locomotive out of control. Yep. But I think it sets it up great. I think it sets up and starts the song out great, man. I mean, I don't know. It's relentless. It's punishing. It's heavy, but it's still enough, a little bit of a melody in there until he comes in and kicks right into what I'm sort of saying about this album. He comes in with his guitar main theme, playing that single melody, and it's just really, I don't know. There's just a beautiful, haunting. It's just, I don't know. I still think there's kind of a sadness to it. Like, it's, I mean, I'm not going to fall down and cry, but
yeah,
there's like a certain melancholy to it. I don't know, just the way he does his bends and stuff. And I'm starting to see, he kind of has a couple styles. Like there's the super majestic soaring style. And then there's this kind of more puts these bends in where there's emotion and there's sadness to it. There's a little bit of longing or something to it. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I remember the first time we heard this Alien song was like, it was one of those you really had to like almost immediately play it again because like I'm not even really sure exactly what I just heard. There's so much going on, it's just so as opposed to last album, like I think was it Untethered Angel? Like when that came, I was like, okay, that just sounds. I mean, I thought it was solid, but I thought they returned, but it's like that's just standard Dream Theater 101, for them. Whereas this was like, wow, this is just pretty damn ambitious for. Coming right out of the gate with the new album with this, it's 9 minutes to this.
Yep. Robert Reams says the drums at the very beginning of the Alien set the tone. Love it. Yeah, I agree with you, man. You and I are both on record as being huge fans of Distance Over Time, and I think, knowing that there was a new record coming, it was like, okay, can they follow up Distance Over Time? That was definitely a record that, I think they did after, let's face it, The Astonishing was very, divisive in terms of the fan reaction. And, Distance Over Time was like, all right, here you go. Here's Distance Over Time. This is what people, a lot of the fans said they wanted. This is just a straight ahead, progressive, heavy Dream Theater record, and it was awesome. I mean, it was very much a rejuvenation for the band, I think. And coming off the back of that, I was very interested to hear what they would come out with, and I completely agree with you. This is not, kind of like Dream Theater 101 in terms of, it's not like, like Untethered Angel. This is like progressive, and there's so much stuff in there. You're like, what the hell? And that insane time signature and everything. And it really is. It is a kick-ass opener. And to me, it might even be like the highlight of the record. And that's not saying that the rest of the record isn't good. It's just, I think this might be my favorite song on the record because it's kind of like the most Dream Theater-ish, unless you count the title track being that it's, 20 plus minutes long. So, the other thing that kind of really grew on me about this one is the concept of it. Because I don't know about you, but when I saw it's like the Alien, it's about it. Like I'm like, oh boy, what is this going to be? And I love the concept, and terraforming new worlds and stuff like that. I thought the lyrical presentation was really interesting, and I love it. I love this song. I think it's great. I think it's definitely the perfect way for them to say, hey, here's a new Dream Theater record, and we think you're going to like it as much as the last one.
I think it's one of the stronger choruses, and his voice is, it's super high on that chorus there, and it really just, the dynamics of that really just punch you in the face. And I love his vocal on the chorus on this one.
Look at that. Robert Reams. He says, I like this album a lot better than Distance Over Time. No kidding? Wow. Interesting. Okay. Let me see if I pronounce this right. Daniel Navarez Arojo. If I mispronounce that, man, I apologize. He says to listen to the alien with a click track is very revealing of its intricacy. Yeah, and Chastity Crowley, she says 17/8. That is really intense to look at musically. Yeah, I purposely avoid like I can't read music as it is, much less looking at that. I've seen some of Jordan's stuff. I was just like, get out of here with that. It's just incredible. Yeah, one of my favorite parts of the record is actually on the song. The like when after that kind of unison part, it goes into that breakdown with the Petrucci solo, where it's pretty much just him, and like you used the word haunting earlier, and I think that's appropriate for that part of the song. I love that. That's one of my favorite solos he's ever done. It's just, man, he's really got a specific tone dialed in that he's had for these last couple of records that I think is just awesome. So,
yeah, going back to Robert Reams, it's an interesting comment. I feel like at a distance over time, probably song wise, is more there in terms of songs. This is more performance and sounds.
Interesting. Okay.
That's how I would kind of, outside of a couple, I think, if you're looking for, I always hate to use the word straightforward, but in terms of just songs, I think distance over time, probably a slight nudge,
Well, I just think the material stands out apart from itself better on that one. That
Yeah.
you can tell the
Yep.
difference between the different songs, and you go from like something like Barstool Warrior to something like Room 237. Like you're never going to confuse those two songs.
Yeah.
Whereas I think there's some overlap on this one. So Abraham Rangel says hi. What's up, Abraham? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it, man. All right, let's move on to track number 2 here. Answering the Call. I really liked the jogging style riff on this one. I love that. I think this one's a little. I think it's a little underrated. When the record first came out, a lot of people kind of weren't really digging this. So I'm not sure how they feel now, but I saw a lot of people kind of saying they weren't really interested in this one, and I really like it. I think it's got that classic like atmospheric Dream Theater verse that we've come to love on a lot of other stuff that they do. And this is the first, the first appearance of those big 3-part harmonies that I mentioned, earlier. I think this, this big lush choral sound, to kind of as a different presentation as opposed to James just soaring in that ungodly high register of his. So, where do you stand on Answering the Call?
Yeah, this is turning into one of my favorite riffs that they've ever done. Honestly, I love that riff. I don't know.
Cool.
There's
Okay.
something. I think what I really like about it is I can see like 30 other bands playing that riff and it fitting fine with them too. But when Dream Theater's playing it here, it doesn't sound like they're trying to be another band or anything. It just sounds like it fits them. And I don't know, that's a really hard thing to do, I think, because we've talked before about they have a couple of those songs where they get into those Tool kind of sounding riffs that sound almost, they're very similar to 46 and 2. But this is not that. This is coming up with just a killer rock metal riff that you can ride out throughout an entire song, and but it doesn't sound like anybody else, but it still sounds like anybody else could play it, if that makes any sense. Plus, also, you get literally, you don't even get a minute and a half into this one, I think, after the riff. And once again, here comes Petrucci doing that, it's almost a similar sounding motif that he has going in Alien. And I think that maybe that leads into what you're saying about how this kind of blends together. But he starts bending those notes, and, you start feeling emotional again. And he's doing this little singular melody line. And it's like, you kind of feel like you just heard that, but but you got that killer riff behind it, so it it still stands apart some.
Yeah, sure. Everett Painter, good to see you, man. He says the best thing about the record, James should stay in this range going forward. Yeah, I thought it was a really good choice as well. I think going forward, I mean, the guy's in his late 50s or whatever it is, you know, having to hit those crazy, ungodly high notes, it's getting more and more difficult, you know, as it does for everybody. So I think it's really smart to start writing in this range because it makes it a lot easier to present, excuse me, in the live environment. So, you know, I just look at this. Kale, okay, Kale's disagreeing with me on something. You're never going to be able to get from Barstool Warrior into room 137 and think they're the same song because of the massive drop in quality. Not gonna lie. Okay, well that wasn't my point, Kale. But you know, I would. You know what I meant. And Room 137 is a great song, by the way. I really enjoy that one. I'm not. Obviously, Barstool Warrior is pretty much perfection, but yeah, you know, for me, you know, this is I think an underappreciated song, man. It, you know, the heavy riffing in the chorus after the vocal lines, you know, they do the lush thing and then go back into that's really cool. I like that. And then when it gets like, you know, they get even heavier, you know, after the bridge when they get into the solo section and stuff, that's just that kind of, you know, it's just the single note riffing on this song is really, really cool. And it's just such a good example of how Petrucci can write something really heavy that doesn't have to be, you know, all chuggy power chords and, you know, hate breed sounding riffs and things like that. It's really cool. So I really like this song. This was one of my favorites, you know, when I first heard the record, and it's still one of my favorites. So I dig this one. And there was a comment about the sequencing that was yeah, okay. Yeah, Daniel Navarez Orojo. Again, sorry for the poor pronunciation. He says, answering has grown on me. It's a nice release after The Alien. Sequencing helps it in the context of the album. Yeah, that's one thing I was actually going to mention later, but since you brought it up, I really think the sequencing on this album is really good, Brian. What about you? I think I get that it's only 7 songs, and you basically have to put, you know, the 20-minute monster at the end. But I thought that this was arranged excellently. What did you think?
I think my only problem is Awaken the Master at 6, because I don't know. It feels like you're worn out after that one. It's such a heavy slugfest, and we'll talk about it later, so I don't want to say too much. Okay. But I've always kind of felt like that into then a 20-minute song. I think Transcending Time maybe they should have flipped those around or something, but.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't know. They got 7 songs on here, you know. So, you know, I want to go back to something you said about the vocals. Like, I mean, yeah, let's be honest. Like, I mean, they've said before, like, you know, we're not going to come out here and, you know, when we originally kind of started this band, you know, well, that was important. I was around, I guess. But, you know, they wanted to have the, you know, sort of like the Queensryche, Fates Warning type of thing. Well, they grew out of that anyway, you know, and we're going to see Jeff Tate, who still sounds great doing what he does, but he's even said, look, I can't, you know,
yeah,
I can't sing this stuff that Todd LaTorre, you know, he doesn't say it that way, but I can't sing the stuff that Todd LaTorre's singing now, you know?
Yeah.
That's why he's in the band, you know? But it's like, yeah, I mean, he's going to sing what feels comfortable to him, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed, and they don't need to sound like, you know, early Queensryche or Fates Warning anymore, you know? They've grown into their own entity.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, man. Kale McLeish says, this is an album with a lot of good melody moments. I feel like John Petrucci was a little bit more innovative on this album by taking that melodic step over such heavy riffs. It's so cool every time, too. Yeah, that's another thing, Kale. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've always thought that this record kind of is a good... It pairs excellently with Distance Over Time. I think if you put those records together... and kind of, you know, in a playlist and put them on random, I think they mix very, very well. So I think they make just a phenomenal playlist together, minus Distance Over Time being quiet. It's the only thing that pisses me off about that record. The production is quiet, and I like to hear it just blasting, and I can't get it blasting. So
that'd be a cool project, though, to try to, like, you got to put these 2 albums together.
Like sequence them?
Yeah, you got to sequence them, but you can't do. Well, at some point you'll have to do 2 in a row because you have more on the other one. But
yeah,
but like, you know, I don't know. That would be an interesting exercise. See how to do that.
Maybe a future episode.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll
it sounds
we'll have to
interesting
try
to
that.
us. I don't know how good that would play on a podcast.
Right?
Probably stupid, but
One of those episodes we get about 3 minutes in and go, "Oh God, this was a terrible idea. What are we doing?"
I mean, horrible ideas have never stopped us before. So
Right.
what's happening now?
Exactly. All right, so moving on to track 3, we have Invisible Monster. I don't have a lot of notes on this one, Brian, because to me, it's not a bad song by any means, but to me, it's just kind of there. It's almost like a song, kind of like Rite of Passage from Black Clouds or something like that. That's just like, okay, it's a song, it's cool. Again, it's just kind of there, but one of my notes does say that if this is the meh song on your record, you're writing a damn good record, because it's still a really good song. So there's just not much there for me to it. Lyrically, melodically, I mean, it's fine, it's cool. But I think especially coming off of Alien, or the Alien is the first single, and you put this one out. I was just like, I was really hoping for more of the Alien, and it's a good song, but it is what it is.
It feels a little safe, I guess is the word, maybe. And here's the third song in a row where it takes each song, it takes a little bit longer, I think. Well, actually, no, that's not true, because Answering the Call came earlier. But on this song, after the first chorus, you go into it again. There's JP doing the singular melody thing. What I like about it, though, is that after that, Jordan gets that kind of a spooky, squawky keyboard sound.
Yeah.
And he's playing the motif too. So I always like when they when both Jordan and JP will play the main riff or main melody, on their own instruments. And I don't know, I think that's the sign of a strong riff, when both of them play it, and it echoes it and it gives a little bit different flavor and stuff.
Yep.
And I don't have a whole ton to say about this. I think I've said before, maybe the melody on this just kind of not the actual chorus itself, not really a whole lot going on there, but that's going to happen from time to time, I guess.
Yeah. Robert Reams, thank you. He says, agree with everything John said. No more really needed to be said.
Let's just mute me then.
Yeah. Robert Reams can co-host for a second. Yeah, I mean, you hit on something there with the chorus. I think that might be I think that might be the problem for me with it, and why I think this is the one song that doesn't really stand out, is because usually the chorus takes the song to another level, and this one just it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like it's good. It's a good chorus, but usually the chorus is kind of like a step up in terms of like intensity or melody or something like that, and this is just kind of like an extended verse in a way. So it doesn't really stand out. So it is, Mike Schoenberger, good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in again. He says, Invisible Monster is one of those songs that comes across stronger live. You know what, dude? I hate to do this, but I'm going to disagree. I had the same opinion of it live. I was like, okay, this is a cool song. I think it was a good song for the set, because it kind of gives James a little bit of a break. He gets to kind of like take a break from going anywhere near his stratospheric range. So I think that's good for it. But yeah, it's just kind of there for me.
I like the fact, that it's a little mainstreamish, I guess. It gives you a little bit of a break, like you said, just it gives him a break vocally too. I don't know. I've talked about this before. I think at some point, though, you have to be a little bit careful if you don't want to get too many of those kind of songs on there, and it's like Alter Bridge gets into this thing where they always have one or two songs where Mark Tremonti sings on the album, and it's like, we're not buying albums to hear Mark Tremonti sing.
Right.
Like, I don't mind his voice at all. I actually like his solo stuff, but when you're buying an Alter Bridge album, you want to hear Miles Kennedy.
Yeah.
It's, same with Dream Theater. You're kind of expecting a certain, I don't want to say complexity or but yeah, this, I don't know. They just sort of just milked a melody there and got what they could out of it, and it's just kind of mellow.
Yeah. Look, Chad Stivermer, I'm sorry about the pronunciation there. He says every Dream Theater song comes across stronger live. I would. I will submit Ministry of Lost Souls as an example against your point, but oh my gosh. Oh, Kale's gonna come at you, man. He says, "Ooh, here's a debate for me and Brian to have later." Noted. So there we go. All right. So moving on to track 4, we have "Sleeping Giant," which is awesome. Again, a song that when the record came out, I didn't hear a lot of people talking about, and this song. And maybe I'm wrong here, but it's always kind of reminded me a little bit of Pale Blue Dot, which is why I was kind of surprised that it didn't get more love when the record first came out. So I absolutely love the key change in the choruses. I thought that was really, really cool. Jordan goes into some of that old-timey piano in the bridge, which I've been on record as saying is some of my favorite stuff that he does. And at the end of the bridge, the way the song rises and builds and builds and builds, it just sounds so epic. That is so unbelievably cool. So this is a great song, man. This is definitely a highlight on the record for me. What are your thoughts on Sleeping Giant?
I like the last half of it. I've always kind of felt like this riff is super stock, like just the beginning of it and stuff. But I think it, like you said, there you have those changes at the end. Jordan's got the cool ragtime piano. Trying to read some of my notes here. What all I had. After his ragtime solo, it goes right into like a really cool synth moog solo, which is cool to be able to blend those like that seamlessly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the beginning of this. So I don't know. It takes about 4 or 5 minutes for me to get into this one. It just feels like the riff just feels super kind of stock for me. So this has always kind of been my weakest song on the album, I think, just from that beginning. But the performances on the last 3 minutes are awesome.
Don't you think they need kind of like a stock riff here and there to break up the 17/8 time signatures and all the just the monstrous orchestration that goes on? I mean, because I kind of think that they do. I like that. We'll get to, in the title track, there's a riff that I love, and I wouldn't say it's a stock riff, but it's definitely more of like a 4 on the floor type of thing. And I really think they need that to stand out, because so it's not just a constant noodle fest. I mean, I think they kind of need that sort of riff here and there.
Yes and no. I mean, you can have a stock riff that still is very cool and melodic. To me, this one just doesn't do anything for me. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Invisible Monster, we already just kind of said there's not a whole lot going on there with the riff, right? Either with the main riff. I mean, so you kind of got 2 in a row where they do that. But that's okay, because, I mean, like I said, the end of Sleeping Giant, saves it. And there's some cool, I love the Deep Purple organ stuff going on there. This is totally like a Deep Purple song when it starts. I mean, that's to me beyond obvious.
Okay.
Which is fine, but yeah, I mean, one of them has to be my least favorite on the album, so it'll be this one.
Nice. Kale McLeish says Sleeping Giant still feels like an LTE song with James added in. There are just a lot of moments that feel better crafted instrumentally than vocally in this one.
I don't disagree with that.
I do, because I think there's some stuff coming up later in the record that I was not. I can't say I'm not a fan of the melodic choices in the vocals. I just think there needed to be more there to make them more interesting. So, but it's not on this song. And again, I get a very strong Pale Blue Dot vibe off of this one. So maybe that's why I'm a little more, partial to it. So, I mean,
I got to go back and listen to this again then, because I have no idea where you're getting that from. Because I love Pale Blue Dot. I think that's one of their better songs.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it goes back and forth with some interesting things. And JG3, man, good to see you. Says, just dropping in to say, hey guys, Philly fan here, so I'm pretty busy watching the Eagles and Phils. Top songs on View from the Top of the World, Answering the Call, Sleeping Giant, Transcending Time, Awakened the Master. Well, Brian just said that Sleeping Giants is least favorite, so you can argue with him later on after you guys hopefully beat the Astros in the World Series. I'm sick of those guys. So, and congratulations on being undefeated in football, lucky bastard. So
that reminds me, I have to check my fantasy football team if I have anybody playing. What's the game? It's Philly and the Bills? No.
I am not sure tonight. I'm too busy digging into A View from the Top of the World, Brian.
Sorry.
I'm not paying attention to the NFL. It's a bye week for our Brownies. So, all right. So moving on to track number 5, we have Transcending Time, and this one for me, definitely, my first impression was that this one was something that was left over from the self-titled record. And I immediately was not a fan of that. I was like, okay, this sounds too much like that record. But as you know, the song transcends time. Sorry, I'm trying to make a bad pun there, but it's definitely really, really grown on me, and I really, really enjoy it. I think it's definitely got the best vocal melodies on the entire record. It's the one time on the album you get this really happy, upbeat, kind of positive vibe, which is really, really cool. And I love the fade out part. It's simple, and it's kind of more jungle drums than like a standard, kind of like beat with the hi-hat, kick and snare and everything. But I really like it, and it's melodic and it's cool, and this is just a really fun song. And I think it stands out like a sore thumb on this record, and I really enjoy it for that reason. What do you think?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Happy song, the Petrucci one off of his.
Yep.
Because it's happy, it's fun. I mean, could this be their "Don't Stop Believin'," where the lighters come down, played at the end of the night?
Oh my God,
I was super bummed they didn't play this live, but obviously they can't play everything.
Yeah.
This is the bright light in this album that I feel is, kind of sad times.
I agree with you, man. I definitely would have taken this one over Invisible Monster like all day, every day in the live environment. Robert Reams, he says, I like this song so much. James sounds incredible. The positive, inspirational vibes are awesome. I highly rate the self-titled album, so probably why I like it so much. There's another future debate that's coming to the show.
Another cool thing about this one, before we get to that real quick, so you have a main guitar riff, right? And then you get a main keyboard riff coming after it, which again, I said, and they're different riffs too, which is what's awesome. Like, I love when they do this type of a thing.
Yeah. Daniel Navarez Arojo says, Transcending is the highlight for me. It's the bar stool of this album. Major key magic from Dream Theater, and the piano fade out is amazing. Wish the fade out were longer. Chad Steve Vermer, again, hopefully I got that right. I don't remember which one I said first, Chad, so I apologize. Transcending Time has a very Rush feel to it. Yeah, you know what? I could see that, because this is kind of like Looking Glass-ish, I think. So, JG3, I'll add, I was surprised they didn't play more songs live from the new album on the recent tour. Well, they played like 4 or 5, so they played a majority of the record, so there was that. Yeah, this is just like, it stands out, like it sticks out like a sore thumb in a good way. I think, but I think you make a really good point about when we talked about the sequencing, about flip-flopping this one and the next song. I as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that would actually make it even better. So I completely agree with you there, because this one is just, it's like a palate cleanser, isn't it? Because the rest of the stuff has been in a certain vibe and a certain feel, and this is definitely a palate cleanser, because it is kind of like a throwback to a previous record. It's as Daniel said, major key, which I've always thought is like, that's my favorite stuff that they do, as much as I love heavier music a lot of the time. So I love your idea about flipping it with Awaken the Master.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, it's like a love child of Spirit of Radio and Limelight or something. It's got that,
Nice.
you know what I mean? literally that's what I think of when I hear those riffs. Like, brings me back to those two Rush albums big time. We've said that before, I think, but yeah, I mean, I remember when that first song first came on, when we finally got the album, and I'm like, where the hell did this come from? It really caught me off guard big time. I try to think that the last song has sort of made me have that feel, with the sort of the major key in the chorus. I got to go all the way back to like Innocence Faded, literally, for me.
Wow, that far.
I mean, obviously Looking Glass too, but yeah, I don't know. There's an Innocence Faded feel to me of it. It doesn't sound anything like it. I understand that, but I don't know. Just in terms of like a happy, warm feeling that I got from a Dream Theater song.
Wow. See, now you got me thinking. That's I mean, you're right. It definitely has that Innocence Faded vibe to it, but God, there's got to be something between Awake and the new record that had that in there, Wow. Okay, so JG3 is saying that the Alien is the weakest track. He says the vocals are kind of jarring, so much so that, the point James really seemed to struggle keeping time with the verses live. And Kale McLeish says, ooh, Jay in here with them hot takes.
Hot take Jay is what we call
it.
him.
It is, man. Wow. All right, well, why don't we get into the surprise of the album? I think this is probably would I be wrong in saying that there were two songs that people were most excited to hear, and it was this one and the title track, because obviously the title track being 20 minutes long. And this one, Awaken the Master, is the first appearance of an 8-string guitar on a Dream Theater record. So I know this is really not your cup of tea, something this heavy and sludgy, and you were not a fan of this song. So I'll let you kick this one off. What do you, now that you've sat with the record for a year, where do you stand on Awaken the Master?
I do like it more now. I will admit.
Okay.
8 strings is weird though, because a normal guitar has 6. So then now you're talking like what, four extra or whatever it is math wise.
Such an ass.
No, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'm curious. Okay, so let's say he just plays this on a 7-string. Does it still sound the same? Does it really make that much difference? I don't know. I've always kind of wondered that. I do really love, I love the accents. I mean, there's you talk about ridiculous time changes in some of the other songs. I don't know that there's, well, the one coming up is absurd too, but the stuff going on in this, I love the piano parts in this. And then you got those huge string orchestrations, which I really actually do enjoy those parts. I think those make this song so gigantic and fat. So once it kind of gets into those parts, similar to Sleeping Giant, but even more so on this one, I'm really on board once we get those string things coming from Jordan. I think does fill it out huge, man. It sounds like a big giant orchestra, almost going with the heaviness of it.
Yeah. The thing that surprised me about this song is you kind of figure right off the bat you're just going to get that, hey, it's an 8-string type of riff. So you knew that was pretty much, going to happen. I was actually surprised that he didn't use it more. I'm glad that he used it as flavoring instead of, okay, I'm just going to beat you over the head with the fact that it's this really heavy, ungodly drop-tuned instrument. But I also thought that it would have been cool to kind of use it a little bit more. So while I'm glad it wasn't the whole focus of the song, I could have used a little bit more of it. And I hope he does another song with it. Because especially there's some stuff like if you get into some riffage that was kind of like on, Distance Over Time or something like that, or Train of Thought or Awake. If you write one of those like just straight up metal riffs, but like one of those really really heavy kind of like Mastodon type of things, Meshuggah, whatever. Like I thought that would have been cool. So I'd like to hear it again. So yeah, I dig this song. Again, one more thing, going back to Mike Mangini, we talked about earlier, his right hand on this, like on the ride bell after the chorus, like he's just like a machine. The guy is unbelievable. So and I do have one thing that stands out to me about this song. And I want to get your opinion on it. And I kind of teased it earlier. This song kind of feels like a miniature version of the title track. Once you've heard them both, do you get that feel off of that?
Yeah, I do. It definitely seems similar, and it kind of goes to your thing about, maybe a bit of a lack of diversity on it. Yeah, I can totally see that. I do want to stress though, those after the part where remember hereafter, and then Jordan does those huge big piano accents before the orchestration. Like I don't know. There's nothing I love better in probably his playing than when you get to those kind of ascending giant piano, grand piano sound things that are just going along with the metal guitar behind it. Like, I mean, that to me, I would say, for lack of better words, saves this song and turns it into something I enjoy.
Okay. Chad Steve Vermer, he brings up a band that I've tried to listen to, and I'm not really a fan of, but he says, I think Animals as leaders use a lot of 8-string. Sounds cool. I don't, there's a little too much of it in there for me. That's what Tosin Abasi is his name. Amazing player, weird guitar. I just, that one is, there's a little much of it for me. And I've listened to 2 records and it's all over it, which is fine. It just seems like it's a little too much. So, yeah, I don't know. Daniel Navarez Arojo says, the way John attacks the 8-string is rather clean, not genty or clangy. I hope he attacks it more next time. Yeah, I do too. I'd like to hear a little bit of that. Like as much as Brian said earlier, it doesn't like the stock riffs. I think the 8-string might lend itself to one of those. It would be kind of cool, It would definitely give you that really heavy element that you haven't had before. So that'd be kind of cool. I'd be a fan of that. And okay, so people are telling me that the new Animals as Leaders is awesome. Okay. Like I said, I tried getting into it and I was not the biggest fan. So I'll go back and listen to it. I tend to lean more towards the John Petrucci stuff when I'm listening to instrumental music. Marcos Fogli, I absolutely love, which we're trying to get him on the show, which would be awesome because I love Marcos stuff. Pliny's really cool. I really dig the Pliny stuff. So,
so that Animals as Leaders is all instrumental then? I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. The stuff that I've heard is, I mean, maybe I'm missing some vocal songs, but
interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to it, man. Another Dream Theater epic. And it is the title track, A View from the Top of the World. And yeah, I would say that the lyrics are cool on this one. And as I mentioned with Awaken the Master, Awaken the Master seems like kind of a miniature version of this song, and lyrically as well. I just thought the lyrics to Awaken the Master were the weakest on the album. And I don't mind the lyrics on A View from the Top of the World. It's about, striving for the goal and stuff, but it's not. I thought Awaken the Master was the same thing when it's handled pretty heavily. This is not. I love how this song starts out because you could tell right off the bat. It's 20 minutes, but you can tell it's going to be epic in feel and everything. So I really like that. I love how the second verse is way different than the first one. I thought that was really cool. But I will say that this is one of those examples of something I mentioned earlier where some of the vocal melodies, I think they could have added some flavoring to them. They are a little boring here and there. So I wasn't a fan of that. And I would say for like an epic Dream Theater song, this one's a little formulaic. It's like, okay, here's the heavy part, here's the proggy part. Here's the mellow breakdown, here's the heavy part, then we'll go into the chorus and like the big majestic outro type of thing. And you know what else I liked about this one, Brian? A lot. It wasn't Illumination Theory. So, yeah, well, here you go. Okay. Daniel Navarez Arojo says, View is okay. It overstays its welcome. Of the epics, it's not one that comes to mind.
Hey, view from the top of the world. Get your beer, get your shoes, get out of my house. It's time to leave.
You know what's an amazing way to listen to this song, and I talked to you about this, but um, Wayne Joyner did a video for each of the songs on the record, and we were lucky enough to see the one for A View from the Top of the World. And I don't know what it is, man. Like the video that he did just blends with the music and the vibe of the music so well.
Yeah.
It's like watching like a miniature movie, and God, it's so cool. So I really think, you know, when I first heard this song without the video, I was like, ah, okay, this is okay. But then when I watched the video and listened to the song with it, you know, obviously now I can't hear the song without picturing the video, and it really enhanced my enjoyment of the song. So I hope that, you know, if you guys haven't seen that you can see it sometime, because it's really cool. So have you watched that?
I don't know. You might have sent it to me. I don't know if I saw it. So is it accessible to anyone, or is this what they show behind them when they play live or something?
Yeah, it's what they show live. There's a lot of that.
Okay.
I didn't buy the physical version. I bought the vinyl, and I paid for the digital download as well. But I didn't buy the CD. So I think there's like a deluxe version to the CD that comes with the music videos with it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
So what are your thoughts on View from the Top of the World?
Yeah, I mean, it starts out. I love the orchestration, and we've talked ad nauseum, like when they get these big giant orchestration type things. You know, it feels like a soundtrack. I love all this stuff Jordan's doing. You know, a lot of that riffing and drumming and stuff that kind of goes on after that, before you get to some other stuff, is, I guess, can get maybe a little monotonous.
Okay.
But I love, like, I kind of made some notes here, like the 8-minute mark. He goes into that almost that Flight of the Bumblebee thing on guitar,
Right.
which he does on, is it Name of God? It's something off of Train of Thought. I can't remember which song he does that into. But
Yeah.
then I absolutely love and you're right. It's sort of formulaic, because then you get that. But I think that clean, slow, mellow 2.5 minutes of music is just absolutely beautiful. You know, it's like that broken guitar, clean sound. It's like, okay, paging Sweet Sister Mary, The Mission, Operation Minecraft. I mean, that paging
Nice.
Chris DeGarmo. I mean, that has you know, that has Queensryche written all over it, which is fine. I mean, shit, if you're gonna, you know, do something that's sort of similar, you might want, you know, that's a good one to start with. But, you know, the delay,
Yeah.
and chorus on that guitar, and his vocals on there, just so damn good. You know, and then again, you get another singular melodic solo from, you know, Petrucci coming after that. And yeah, I just love that little, especially that little segment there. And that ending, gets, like we said before, that ending, I don't know what's going on with that. That's so beyond weird. Yeah, I don't know. It sort of leaves you with a weird feeling, like I just don't know what to think of the song as a whole. You know what I mean? I like a lot of parts of it, but as a whole, you know, does it get a little bit, you know, is it a little bit too long there? But like you said, I think you're spot on. I bet if you're watching it with that video, you know, I'll put it to, there's a band I love called Avatar, which listening to them on CD or whatever is okay, but you got to see it live. Like, you know what I mean? And I think a song like this, not so much even the band, but like you're saying, just with the video sync to it, because, you know, it is a soundtrack. And I totally agree on the melodies. Like, I think this is another one similar to like Invisible Monster. Like, just the chorus, the melody on the chorus is pretty, there's not much there, you know. It doesn't really do anything that just totally grabs you, like you really want it to grab you too, because you're like, man, this is a cool concept. You can visualize all of this, and there's a lot of epic musical moments, but just I think just the melody on the chorus is not, you know, it's kind of meh.
I think I like it because there actually is like a set chorus, Because when you think about songs like A Change of Seasons or Octavarium, there's not that, okay, we're going to go back to the chorus like a regular song. But maybe that's why it kind of wears on you a little bit, because it does have that kind of setup to it. And, your ear is expecting something shorter. And that's definitely not what you get. I could see why people think this one takes a little while to get there. To your point about there's not really much melody there in that chorus. I mean, to me, it's that the broken part where he's just, like okay, there's certain adding just a couple notes here and there to kind of make your ear kind of perk up a little bit. I think would have made it sound cooler. But it's a minor gripe for sure. And it's a cool song, man. It's, one of my favorite Dream Theaters ever is in this song, actually. After that, broken chord part, the mellow part you're talking about, that, that riff they go into.
Yeah.
So that's like what I was saying, like, when you were talking about a stock riff, this is the one I was mentioning, where it's not really a stock riff, but it's a, it's the 4 on the floor, like, just a straight drum beat and everything. And I think I love that part. It's heavy, it's cool, it's straightforward. I think for me though, I would have liked if there was a few more parts that were kind of like, Octavarium. Like Octavarium is so freaking weird that it just keeps your interest all the way through. And I think if there were more parts, little more proggy, like some goofiness here and there, I think it would have, added some really good flavoring to the mix on this.
Yeah, I feel like there's 3 songs on here where I'm like, okay, I love what they always end up great. They always end up getting to a place where I'm totally fine with, but sometimes, there's a little bit of maybe too much going on in the beginning, or I love the beginning of this, but then kind of like right after that, it's a little bit not all that great much stuff going on until we get to that Fly the Bumblebee thing that I love.
Right.
And then the cool mellow part stuff. But yeah, I would be very curious to see if this song is one that they would, I don't want to use the term bother, but is this something that they would play again after, this tour is done or whatever, which I guess it is done, but
well,
I mean, what do you think? Yes, no?
I don't think so, because when people talk about Dream Theater epics, you're talking about Change of Seasons, you're talking about Octavarium, and Count of Tuscany, and Count of Tuscany is like, it doesn't quite hit 20 minutes, so, but
Right.
I mean, people aren't bringing up View from the Top of the World. Maybe it's a recency bias. It's new. It doesn't have the years and years of being in people's ears like the other songs do. Illumination Theory. No one really talks about that one. So yeah, I don't think so, because I think there's
I have a question. Daniel Navarez Arroyo, View needed Easter eggs like Octavarium. Do you know what that was? Are there actual Easter eggs on that album?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Because my internet just seemed to make you sound like a robot.
I got you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was saying, are there actually Easter eggs on Octavarium?
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff.
Oh, is there? I'm not aware, so just curious.
Yeah,
like what kind of stuff is on there?
Well, I mean, if I'm getting them correctly, I mean, all the different, I mean, that whole like weird section in the middle is all song titles, like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Day Tripper, Gabba Gabba. It's all like, other band song titles of like other epic songs.
I thought he meant like hidden tracks or something
No.
Okay.
No. But yeah, sorry for the internet gaff there. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know that they'd play in the future. I don't know, maybe 2 songs off of this. I mean, I guess Alien for sure. And what? Maybe Answering the Call or Awaken the Master.
Man, that's a good question on Awaken the Master. It's the only 8-string song. I mean, honestly, I could see them throwing in Transcending Time, because they didn't do it. You know,
that's
so
true.
I mean, and that's kind of like a very Barstool Warrior-ish. And I think it's, because there are certain songs that really grow on the fans that they kind of hear a lot about. And I think Transcending Time is going to be one of those songs from this record. I mean, definitely the Alien, because I mean that's just that's a nutty Dream Theater kind of.
Yeah.
I would say those two. The rest of them kind of are similar, so it's like, which one do you pick? So, I mean, Chad Stevermer, same thing I was saying. Like, I think people don't talk about Illumination Theory and A View from the Top of the World because they haven't had 20 years to live with them yet. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that, Chad, but I also think that they're not as strong as the other songs that we mentioned, especially Illumination Theory, and we'll get into that when we do our deep dive into the self-titled record, which Robert Reams is going to want to punch me in the face for, I'm pretty sure. But
maybe we should have him on for that one.
that actually might be a good idea. Yeah. So Daniel Navarez Arojo, to answer your question about Easter eggs in Octavarium, says the screaming part in Octavarium literally has Portnoy saying root and proceeds to count up to 8 in the background. I've never heard that. Oh, look at this. Paul Logue, what's up, man? Good to see you. Paul, that reminds me, I got to email you. We want to do a Queensryche episode with you. We want to dig into a Queensryche record, so we'll have to get in touch. I'll shoot you an email, man. You got to come on and do something with us. We've already done Mindcrime, but if there's another record that you love, we can jump in and do that, because I definitely want to do that, like Promised Land.
Like past his bedtime? I thought the whole reason, I have to come on Saturdays. Like, no, now you're staying up until what, 2 a.m. on Thursdays?
He's drinking pints and watching soccer or football, excuse me.
Right.
Besides, he's writing the new James record. He's probably getting inspired and putting down some cool riffs for us to hear later. So,
nice.
But yeah, I definitely want to get you on, Paul, to do another Queensryche episode, because we love Queensryche. So, yeah. So overall, man, final thoughts on A View from the Top of the World, Brian. What do you got?
Yeah, still kind of digesting it. I think, I still, a lot of really high musical points. I still think, as overall song wise, I don't think it's maybe quite as strong as Distance Over Time, but a lot of great performances. I really do like, I know you think Mangini's probably maybe a little over the top on some stuff, but I think he makes this album really just kind of jump right off of the turntable, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
Just does some killer stuff in it, man. I mean, I don't know. I think the first two tracks, Alien and Answering the Call, like, always joke like, okay, well, we did our best album openers or whatever, but I don't know, those two right off the bat just drill you like right away. It's so good.
Yep.
And
so Paul says he wants to do Empire, by the way, which is fine with me, because I love that. So let's get that scheduled, man. We got to do a deep dive into Empire with Paul. I'll hit you up, Paul. We're definitely going to make that happen. So, all right. Sorry, Brian. I just wanted to bring that up while he was here. So
he's only allowed on if there's a new Eden's Curse album being. I love that band. Cool band, man.
He brings up a good point here, real quick. This is something I forgot to mention earlier. So Paul says the finest mix Dream Theater have ever had. Give Andy Sneap the keys. Yeah, I completely forgot to mention that, Paul. Thank you for jogging my memory. Can Andy Sneap do any wrong? That guy, when he gets a hold of a mix, like, dude, those like I think the biggest example for me is the Testament records that he's worked on. Holy God, the production on those albums is phenomenal. And it sounds great here too. I mean, is that something that stands out to you as the quality of the mix? Because it certainly does for me.
Yeah, it's a little. I maybe I preferred the last album's mix a little bit more, but I mean, I can't complain about this one either. Did he do the new Megadeth too? I know he did the last one, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the new Megadeth sounds just absolutely killer. I love it. I don't know if you've listened to it, but
Oh yeah, it's.
but
I mean, it's very old school.
Nick,
He says, imagine him with Maiden. Well, I think Paul, if he was with Maiden, he'd have to get Maiden to write some better songs. Like, those last couple Maiden records for me are just kind of like, it's a Dream Theater can get away with like 10-minute songs. Iron Maiden for me just really kind of can't. So
no, they need someone in there to if you're going to make 10-minute songs, you can't literally do the same riff 300 times in the song. There's got to be a variation on it. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. So it sounds like from what we'd heard that there would be a new album coming at some point in 2020, into 2023, I guess is what I saw.
It's going to be a while, yeah, for sure.
I thought that's what they had sort of, tentatively planned. So I don't know if that means it's recorded at the end and we get it 2024 or what, but
I think it's 2024.
I'm just I have no idea what they're going to do next. I feel it's going to be something way out of the box because these two are kind of similar, in feel to me. So I bet we're going to get something totally not like this, which is fine with me.
As long as it's the same quality, because I think these records have been excellent. So, and I'm a big fan of the Astonishing, but I'm sure, a lot of fans, especially with Distance Over Time, really kind of saw Distance Over Time as a return to form, as it were. And, View from the Top of the World is a good continuation of that. As I said, I think if you make them all make those two records one playlist and kind of put it on random, they'll mix together pretty well. So, look at Kale McLeish. He says, John, the last two Maiden albums have rocked. No, Kale, they have not. I'm sorry to disagree with you, but they have not.
Hey, we said this before. We're at least Kale's listening to Maiden. He's a young dude and he likes Maiden. So we can't knock him for that. There's not that many out there, so
right.
We got to give him his props.
Well, this was fun, man. Another good episode. Like I said, I bought a house and I know exactly where the internet line is, and I'm gonna see if I can get like some fiber line or something to have like perfect internet because I'm sick of this crap, dropping out on me. But whatever, it's all rock and roll, right?
Congrats. Now we're not going to be the next show. It's probably still going to be a while, right, before you move in, or when are you moving?
Yeah, it's going to be, well, it all depends, like not to bore everybody, but it's we might actually have like a month and a half to move in. So we're moving only 10 minutes away. So we're going to kind of take stuff here and there so we don't have to do it all in one fell swoop. We're hiring a moving company to do the big stuff at the end. And, so. But yeah, I definitely want a better internet connection. So the wife doesn't know that yet. But since I'm paying $210,000 for a house, I am also upgrading the internet specifically for podcasting. So there you go.
Well, feel free not to ask me to help you move because
no, we're actually
I'll start coming up with an excuse already.
Yeah. Last thing about the move, we're actually getting all the people that helped us move into the place we're in now 5 years ago. And they're going to come up and we're just going to buy a whole bunch of booze and pizza and we're all going to get drunk and eat pizza while somebody else does it because it was hell getting in here. So, but yeah, man, awesome episode, man. This was a blast. It was really cool going back and getting back into this album. We got some fun stuff coming up. Obviously, we mentioned that 2 weeks we're actually going to the John Petrucci show here in Cleveland. So our next episode is going to be on Thursday, November 17th. And it will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about the John Petrucci solo show that we'll be seeing at the Cleveland House of Blues. The show after that, you have to pick a topic because it's actually going to be on a Wednesday because your birthday is that Thursday, and it's that Wednesday, I should say. And we're going to be seeing Jeff Tate on December 1st.
Yeah, so we're going to be there on Thursday the 1st. Yeah, I got to come up with something. So I don't know. I'll have to give you an advance warning because it might require you listening to something.
That's fine. That's totally fine. We're doing that. On December 15th, we are actually doing a deep dive into a record that I hope is not considered blasphemy on a Dream Theater show, but it's one that you and I absolutely love. It's a band that we road trip to Battle Creek, Michigan to see. We're going to be diving into Sons of Apollo's debut album, Psychotic Symphony. So that's going to be cool.
Are we trying to get special surprise for that, or we don't know yet?
We don't know yet.
Working on that?
I am working on that.
Okay.
So, and then, of course, we do have on Friday, December 30th, it is our annual fan hangout show. So that one is just open forum. Any of you guys who want to come on and co-host the show with us, you're more than welcome to. Chastity Crawley is going to be on. So she has already sent us a message. We got another dude. I got to go in my emails to get his name, but we got a couple guests coming on. And Chastity, you wanted the details of it. All you have to do, we just send you an internet link, and then you click the link, and then we let you in the show. It's really that simple. So, yeah, the fan hangout's a blast, guys. If you want to co-host with Brian and I and jump on camera, just shoot us an email at talkingintoinfinity@gmail.com, and we'll hook you guys up. I will be drinking Gorilla Farts because I think that's like a kind of like a must since I did it last time. So that'll be cool. And obviously, as we just saw, we're going to be having Paul Logan sometime in the near future to do a deep dive into Queensryche's phenomenal Empire album. So that was very fortuitous that Paul jumped on here because I've been meaning to email him about that to see if he had a record he wanted to do, and now we know. So yeah, lots of cool stuff coming up, man. So I will see you in a couple weeks in person at the Cleveland House of Blues, and we will watch John Petrucci, Dave LaRue, and Mike Portnoy. So looking forward to that, man. That's going to be a good time. So thanks a lot, guys, for tuning into the show. Appreciate you guys. Chad Stevermer, Cale McLeish, Chastity Crawley, Daniel Navarra Zarojo, our very good friend, Mr. Paul Logue, Robert Reams, JG3. Great to see all you guys, man. Hopefully we'll see you again in the future. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button so that you're notified every time we go live. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, all that fun social media crap. You know what to do. So until next time, I am your host, John. He is my very, very, very good friend, Brian. And guys, we'll see you next time, and Carpe Diem.